What do we have here? A LOLz episode. Your eyes do not deceive you. We've been on a little bit of a hiatus, but we had to come back to talk prediction markets. It's been in the news. You've seen it everywhere. Matt Kalish is stirring up the shit everywhere. And so we had to bring on someone who's also in the thick of it. It is, of course, John Schilling. You guys might know him as GoldenPants, one of the co-hosts of the terrific Risk Takers podcast. And he's going to talk with us today, the things he's been seeing, his experiences, where he thinks this industry is going. Brick has, of course, been in the weeds on it as well. And I'm Pete Overzet. This is LOLz talking prediction markets. Let's do it.
Does he think? I think he thinks this. He thinks this is a go. Vegas Dave thinks this is a go.
Hot naked girls doing yoga.
What?
Why don't you just win like a man?
Random.org. Type in 1 for yes, 2 for no, and let the DFS gods pick for you.
And I'm absolutely begging you not to dupe us. Please don't dupe us. All right, here we go. John, I feel like I'm getting like mic mogged. I feel like I need to get my boom arm in here.
Yeah, I switched from the laptop to the or from the desktop to the laptop. I used to have like a separate camera mounted on my monitors. So I set it up for that, and now it just looks like I have like this ridiculous mic when I'm using my laptop camera.
I love it. I love it. Brian, how have you been? It's been a while since we've done a show. What have you been up to?
Oh, same old, same old. I've been diving into these prediction markets a bit, but other than that, still working on the same stuff.
Yep. And John, you guys have been covering it on your podcast. I know you have done a lot of sports betting content as well. Have you found yourself just in general shifting to the prediction market space?
Yeah, we're like 100% prediction markets now. So I was out with a friend who works at FanDuel, and I was talking to him, and I was like, he was like, we were kind of chit chatting, and I was like, don't worry, anything you tell me is fine. I'm not betting. We don't bet into FanDuel anymore. Like whatever you can spill the secrets now, because we're 100% PMs, mostly Kalshi and Pauly.
And will you give, for people who don't know kind of your background, both with, sports betting and content, kind of how you arrived here at this point?
Yeah, sure. So I was a poker player, I guess, is how I got into gambling. So part of that, I was kind of like the tail end of the online poker generation, pre-Black Friday. So I think I was like 19 or 20 when Black Friday happened in the US, and basically like Full Tilt and Stars shut down. If your listeners might not have been around then or whatnot, or just gone to DFS post Black Friday. But yeah, that was kind of my first introduction to advantage play. Really loved poker, was grinding MTTs and sit and goes. And after that, I finished college. I thought about moving to Canada to continue to play like poker full time, but after college got into trading, just like traditional, they call it TradFi, I guess, type of trading, and was working in New York for a while, was still playing poker basically that whole time on the side. And then I went to business school, and during business school, PASPA was repealed, and I started betting sports. I had kind of started, basically my poker backers had started sports betting maybe a year or two before PASPA was repealed. So I was working with them on a couple things, and they kind of showed me the ropes. And then like when PASPA repealed, I started kind of doing my own thing, partnered up with my buddy who was from high school, who was also a trader. We pooled our money and just started betting, kind of betting golf, but kind of betting whatever, like it would be bonus stuff and whatever was good. And from that, 2-person kind of handshake agreement, I built a company that now is, I guess, you would call it a market maker in prediction markets.
Very nice. Brian, pretty classic, right? In our space, the poker background, I feel like that comes preloaded with just about everybody in some form of speculation.
Yeah, that was a bombshell, wasn't it? Like all these guys had to figure out what to do. I was one of them too. I was one of them. So I did
I dabbled in DFS. You wanna know a fun trivia fact is I was co-winner of the fantasy baseball championship on draft day.
Wow.
Yes. One of my highest accolades in gambling. I think I was maybe worth $8,000 or something. 10 maybe. I don't know. But that was the Taylor KB site, right?
Yeah.
So I was in the streets early after poker. I had to find something else. I didn't get quite as good as you guys, but I dabbled.
I dabbled in sports betting and didn't get quite as good as you. So it works.
We all have our.
The sports betting, it was always like a buzzkill for me. Like the whole, how do I get cash on these sites? And then especially depends on the time era we're talking about. But like there was a lot of offshoring before. And I got stiffed by a bunch of poker sites like offshore over the years, like sites just go under. And especially after 2006, when that law first passed, their sites would go under and you just lost your bankroll on that site. There's nothing you can do. You can't sue the sunny island of Antigua or anything.
No. So did you ever use my wallet? Were you part of that? Because they were like some illegal PayPal, I guess, that I thought was post Black Friday. I think they just ghosted everybody.
Wow.
I don't think so. I'm trying to remember. So I did have a NetTeller account. I don't know how. Yep. I think I'm older than you, but I did. I don't know if you had one of those.
I didn't.
Okay, so that got shut down. NetTeller was sweet. It was PayPal before PayPal, basically, for the gambling world. And a lot of the rakeback sites just stiffed everyone. They're like, oh, there's no more Americans. Okay, well, we're gonna keep your balances, not pay out your last month or two. So it was like enough stiffing to go around where sports betting, I'm like, do I really want to deal with having money across all these books? And then I really did not want to use my mom's account, after I got limited and all that type of shit. And I'm just like, this is just not appealing, and it's really hard. With the tools of the time nowadays, I think it's actually gotten a lot easier, but with the tools of the time, it was much harder to build out, especially with my skill level of coding at the time. So I was, and DFS was just way more. I was a big sabermetrics guy too, even before poker, and so it made so much more sense for me. But certainly, to Pete's point, a lot of smart driven guys went different directions and succeeded in other things. It was a very interesting time.
Do you? Because that. Sorry. Oh no, go for it.
I was gonna ask. Did you feel like in poker? I felt like the prevailing wisdom was sports can't be beat. You can't beat sports betting or whatever for a while. So I never even kind of thought about it.
Well, I think that was part of the zeitgeist though, because you got Barry Greenstein, all the popular guys at the time were very anti sports betting because they just saw so many poker legends blow their load. Mm-hmm. Stu Unger, Doyle Brunson, name your gamble. There's all those old school guys would just blow money. Eric Lindgren. He follows me on Twitter. No,
famous. He's
probably not watching this show, but he's famously had some sports betting issues. And so I think it was more so that they were just kind of naive to the edges that you can actually get, and there's just so many degens that cross over, especially I think during that time, that there's just so many bros losing money sports betting that they're just no, stay away from it. Mm-hmm. And then just guys just didn't even try to beat it. They're just no, it's a sucker's game. So I mean, that's what did you feel?
That's how I felt. I didn't until basically people who I knew were huge winners in poker were doing it and showed me what to do. I would never have believed it. I needed these guys to be no, you can beat it because of this, and then showed me, and I was okay.
It is fascinating how certain, there are advantage players who are going to be an advantage player across every different thing they're doing, poker, sports betting, whatever it is. But then there are those guys where it's it's more of a hobby on the side. It's your outlet. Like even when I was doing some collaboration stuff with Doug Polk, I mean, he's one of the sharpest poker players, heads up, probably one of the best to ever do it in that capacity. And I was watching him torch like 10K aside on NFLs, like the one weekend I was with him, just because he was just gambling. It was like, this is just fun. And it's like that idea of being like hyper GTO in one arena and then just shutting it off as like a hobby is kind of interesting.
Absolutely. You hear about like Ivy playing dice. It's like,
yeah,
flying around the world to play dice. It's like, okay, it must be nice, I guess, to have so much money. That's what you do.
But then he'll come up with a scheme to figure out the patterns of the back of the card and bring a lovely lady so he could beard for him and win 10 million in some London casino.
Fair.
Doing that.
It's all a big game.
Yeah, it's all big. It's all a big
cover.
Or it's a way to justify it where it's like, I'm allowed to torch some money on dice because I'm like setting up the VIP or whatever it is to angle shoot somewhere else.
Yeah, I always joke with my buddy Luke, who's my partner. We'll go to Vegas, and he's like, he's a super smart guy. Like, does we don't take recreational gambles, but if we're in Vegas, he's so splashy at the blackjack table, and I'll be like, "You're just setting up the big play, huh?" And he's like, "Yep, a couple of years going, I'm still setting it up."
The long con.
Yeah.
How much of like, because I think, when I hear about, and I'm curious how it is different with prediction markets, when I've heard about these successful sports betting operations, and Brian and I have talked about it on the show, like it requires a lot of organization. It moves beyond just the modeling. It's like, how do you get down? How do you protect accounts? How do you manage contributors or collaborators? And it becomes this whole separate thing than maybe what you gravitated to in the first place. So I assume you had to deal with a lot of that with sports betting, and now has that been cut out with prediction markets?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's one of the biggest, I see it as, like, benefits of this era and why we've gone all in. Like, I think a lot of people, us included, we're straddling the fence last year. Like, we have our sports stuff and betting into the sports books and whatnot. Should we keep that going while we also focus on prediction markets? So yeah, I can talk to the sports side of it. Like when you're betting with partners and betting into all these different sports books and having, money with different people and trying to do accounting and whatnot. I mean, the first 3 people we hired when we weren't doing prediction markets were all accounting. That was it. Like, accounting was such a pain in the ass, like an unimaginable pain in the ass. Like that, like when it was just me and Luke, I would say that half our time was spent doing accounting. Like I would wake up and do like 3 hours of accounting in the morning every day or whatever. And, if you're in the DFS lobbies, you just export the CSV or whatever. I don't know. Like it's not that, not as difficult. So, that was a lot. Communicating with partners. Obviously there's you're going to tell people a bet and they're going to, place the wrong bet or ask you where to find it, or, and then that's fine when it's like, just your cousin. But when it's like your cousin's 5 friends and, the 2 friends they referred and a bunch, like it starts to add up, all of the hand holding and, operational side of it. So yeah, I think that was, obviously a big part of this as well is the partner avenue. It becomes very difficult with the 90% deduction for us to work with betting partners, I think, in a way that we feel like is above board. So that was the added kind of part to it. But I think like we were kind of situated nicely for prediction markets. Like we brought on a third partner, all 3 of us worked in trading. So I think it just was this good kind of, it's kind of like a lucky break that was kind of the new thing. And then it's one of those things where I think we all know, like, not everything is great forever. So like you should attack the good thing and attack it really hard. And I think we all have stories about how we didn't attack that good thing as hard as we would have wanted.
Yeah, double-edged sword though, because then you also can think like, man, should I have spent that much time doing that, investing, and when I could have been doing something else? And the benefit to the current situation with prediction markets is there's probably a lot of smart people not getting involved because of the uncertain future. So I see that as a positive from my standpoint anyways. But so like there's a lot when it's this level of uncertainty with like legislation and stuff, there's a lot of pluses and minuses of getting into it. So with the sports betting thing though, you just give me like, it's just so annoying to like with tracking your own bets and stuff. First of all, finding your bet. So like if you do your own numbers and then you got to go, okay, I got a good number. Now I have to go navigate this stupid interface to place my bet down. I don't want to use automation because I don't want to get immediately banned. And then once I do that, how do I track all this data? Because they don't make it very easy. And Kalshi, to their credit, has a pretty good API. Their interface is not very user friendly in my opinion. Like I kind of built my own. So like, because it's like kind of hard. I don't know, Pete, if you've been, I don't know if it's even legal in Boston. Do you guys have Kalshi over there?
No.
Okay. But you can use the API and track your own stuff too. So it's much easier, but sports betting just had all these little things for me. That was just like, I'm too lazy.
Yeah. If you don't have to do it, it's hard to do. You don't want to do it. I always think we would say like, this is why we're getting paid. It's not because like we make great numbers or anything. It's because we do all this shit all the time. Can we say shit? Or
yes.
Okay.
How much like was the process of, obviously a lot of things have changed with AI, but is the process for your modeling you did for sports betting pretty similar for Kalshi and just using the different APIs and stuff? Or is it pretty, a seismic shift for you?
This is a good question because we built a lot, I'd say the sport that we're probably the best at originating is golf. And a lot of the modeling was done before AI. So it's like this whole ridiculous, like convoluted code base, right? And honestly, just getting AI to understand it's hilarious. They're like, you have player skill as negative in this file and positive in the other file. And it's like, yeah, deal with it, Claude. But yeah, so like I think one thing is I've kind of been going back over the golf stuff through the lens of like having Claude or whatever people like to use, Codex, and it's useful. I think if I were to build a new model, I would be able to build it faster. There's like certain, if you have it helps clean up some things. It helps understand, it helps you test ideas a little faster, and that's been the main point, but I don't think it's been too different. Like there hasn't been like a drastic, there hasn't been a lot of model changes post AI, but what AI has helped a lot with, it's getting up to speed quickly with the prediction market APIs, getting stuff ready and running and everything.
I feel like from the DFS side, I find it like the creativity is not there at all. So like, I don't think it could solve a lot of, not yet anyways, a lot of more of these interesting edges that professionals come up with sports betting or DFS or whatever. But if you tell it what you want, it makes things so much faster. Like you could build an awesome DFS site in like 2 weeks, probably, if you know but you still need the domain expertise and some creativity and stuff like that. That's my experience. Pete, looks like you want to say something.
No, I was just thinking too. I mean, one of the stories that I remember, Brian, when you were like doing sports book type stuff, whether scraping or whatever, and I'm sure it's been the same for you, John. I mean, they were constantly changing the code and stuff, right? And so your scraping would break. I assume with the Kalshi API, it's like more streamlined and you actually have some longevity to what you build.
Yeah, I mean, that has also switched up a couple times on us, but it's definitely, the scraping was always, something. You're always chasing a moving target with the scraping.
Yeah.
But with AI, that's an easy fix now too, because you can be like, why isn't this scraping properly? And it usually diagnoses it pretty quickly. where before you'd have to do that manually, and it's just a pain in the ass.
Brian, what have you been doing with the Kalshi API?
I've been doing MLB and mentions. Mentions. Not. Don't me yet. I just sent Pete your leaderboard listing. I'm not on there yet, and I gotta ask you how to change my name. They gave me like a default name.
Are you Skilled Salmon?
And it's like it's awkward sheep. I'm like, that
answers like a question a lot of us have been pondering, is like, who are these like adjective animal numbers on the leaderboard? Because there one day it just became like, here's all these, every new name was like, Skilled Salmon, I think, is like the one that crushes.
That's a thing though, right? Like I remember back in the day, like Yahoo Fantasy League or whatever, if you don't give yourself a name, they give you some portmanteau or whatever.
Yeah. It reminds me of like when people would come into Discord like to spam, they were always like had a name like that.
The Top Shot days. This is Adam Levitan came on. It was like, why the fuck am I called Elastic Honeybee?
Is that where the honeybee thing came from?
Yes, it was a default Top Shot name. So is this you here?
Blackbriar.
Look at this.
That sounds like a financial firm name.
Okay, so Blackbriar is the name of our company. I started as GoldenPants because I feel like nobody on call sheet knew. Like it was like it would be really hard to make like the connection, but then we started doing better. I was like, we got to actually put our real name up there. But Blackbriar. So the story about Blackbriar is not our first person we ever used as a betting partner, but my friend Luke's friend came on, and we created these signal chats. And for whatever reason, like we named his chat like Operation Treadstone, and like we're activating you as an agent. And then it was like right when we actually were making our LLC, so we had to like come up with a name right then. And the born I would say, like kind of the lore of the Bourne identity or the Bourne trilogy was kind of front of mind. So Luke was like, well, what about Blackbriar, which is like the thing after Treadstone? And the third, if you are total losers and still remember that, but that's kind of what it was, and it stuck.
So your 29th in volume here shows your profit 1.38 million, volume 455.86 million. Do you like the public element of this, or do you wish it was all behind closed doors?
Well, you can be private. Okay. So I think it's good. We talked about this briefly, but on the podcast, but like, what are the benefits and what are like the pros and cons of being public? I think the pros are pretty obvious. Like if you want to have people like work with you, like I think one thing is like, we're going to eventually, hire more people in a more kind of public way instead of, more. So far it's been a lot of, someone refers someone, or, we know somebody, but, eventually we'll want to go out and, I think pretty soon, like hire some people. So having some kind of like, we're not, we're at least like somewhat smart, here's like this independently tracked thing on call sheet. And then the other pro is, I think from the podcast standpoint, me and SP, we get on and we talk a lot about prediction markets, and it's like, it's an investment to go in and listen to 2 hours of it or whatever. So more of just like, we might, we're not completely dumb. Like you may, there's stuff we're going to say that's wrong, but like, it's probably worth your time to at least try one episode or something. It is the flip side. The downside is that, I think like one thing is like, do people people might want to pick through this or my podcast or whatever to maybe figure out a little bit more of what we're doing. I think it's the same thing with Rufus. Like I knew Rufus was quite good at golf. So like I listened with a very keen ear to his podcast in a different way that I think maybe a lot of people did. And I think I've got a lot of value out of it. So, but yeah, I don't know. I think the pros definitely outweigh the cons. It's a very, like in sports betting, you are like, yeah, we're really good. It's like, but you can't like just show all these balances and account statements you have from partners or whatever. Like this is kind of an easy way to be like, this is us. If you want to one day work with us, or you thinking about picking a new podcast, like could be a good way to go.
As a user, is there any competitive drive from the gamification of a leaderboard and seeing it or being like, I'm better than this guy who's ahead of me, I want to hunt him down? Does that come into play at all?
Kind of. I mean, the one thing is I think a lot of stuff happens like off leaderboard on other sites. So you never know exactly. Like I remember somebody being like, oh, you had a good week. Like last week, I was like, well, we were actually down. Like we lost on Poly or whatever. So you never know exactly. So you can't really like judge what's going on. But I think it's more fun. Sometimes you'll like chirp your friends or whatnot. There is that. But as far as like being like, I need to be above like this guy who I don't know, then I don't think there's that. But if it's like someone like if Shane, so I'm a whale, for example, a good friend. If I'm ever ahead of him in volume on a day, like sometimes I'll send him a screenshot and be like, what are you guys doing?
You're slipping,
which is very rare, but I think that's kind of what it's fun for, kind of keeping track of people, and then also like if somebody's just like up a crazy amount, sometimes I'd be like, why, what could they be doing? Like what event was going on? Or like, sometimes I try and think about what other people could be doing.
Pete, I think I've been thinking about this concept of the publicity of all this lately. I think you could have some insight on it too, Pete, like, cause there's more to it than just our sort of gambling lives, John, too, because just being a more public person comes with problems too, even in this small little tiny niche world. And you know what I mean? Like, which nobody, no one on the street basically is going to know who the hell we are, or what, best ball is or anything like that. But like when you have something, like maybe I've run bad, but throughout life, like when you don't have anything, no one gives you shit. When you have something, there's going to be someone out there who wants to take it from you. So like there's lawsuits, there's, just bad actors, there's scammers, shady people, con artists, all sorts of things. And that'll happen even I imagine, Pete, in your shoes. And there's influencers who've like struck bad deals with scammy companies that, they didn't know were going to go under and shit like that. Like, so there's also that aspect of it, I think, that matters. I think
you mean
we're
as far
kind
as
of like,
downside?
Yeah. Like I think there was like a sweet spot, like after 2006, like 2011, even maybe with poker, like having that public persona was super valuable because like the whole world got flipped upside down, but like everyone still knew who Barry Greenstein was, right? His name's in my head from earlier. Whoever, like these get Phil Ivey could still make money. Phil Ivey could figure it out,
Sure.
Or like they had friends too. They were in a group together. These people could go to Canada and rent a house together and then continue to play, whatever. And if you don't have any of that, during that time, it's negative. But I think now is a little, there are some negative side effects that can happen. Some of it's just random variance, I'm sure. But about, being a public person with money or stuff like that. Like, I'm just saying, not to be a black pill.
Yeah, no, look, I mean, Luke, to anyone watching, like Luke has all the money. Don't come at me. Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned
Luke.
poker
Luke is a
because-
6'6", 300 pounds pure muscle too. by the way.
exactly. Yeah, I would not mess with him. But it's interesting you mentioned poker because I think like becoming more public, like posting on Twitter, doing the podcast, etc. Part of that was like realizing how the people who were public in poker had a much like higher floor. Like it was just like, so just felt like, at first you're like, oh, whatever, like just play cards, but clearly like there's a lot of value to them being public. And I agree. Like
that's why I
agree.
started doing any of this Twitter stuff and shows was exactly what you saw. I saw the same thing in poker, and I was like, shit, it'd be nice having like 10 poker buddies right now, wouldn't it?
Right.
And I have like one, one and
Right.
a half.
Well, and that's always been a popular refrain with DFS, and I'm sure sports betting too. But it's like, why would you do content if you beat the games? If you beat them, or like, why would you give up your edge? And it like always misses that element of the additional benefits of collaboration, putting yourself out there, cross-pollinating ideas. Like all of that stuff is shown to be immensely valuable for people who are good at it or willing to network. But it's just funny how the other side never sees that as a potential benefit. It's just be in your cave and make your money until it runs out or whatever.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And like, I mean, I get, are we sponsored by Underdog here? Underdog Sports? No,
I do.
Okay.
I have a deal with Underdog, but this
Okay.
LOLz podcast is an independent entity.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of getting at, is like same with ours. It's not that like we would never, be there's plenty of shows that are sponsored that are good, but it's like more to the point that we're getting a lot of value out of it. And it's obviously not from like getting paid deals to like run ads or something. Like the value from the podcast comes in the people we meet and the connections we make. And it's also fun, but it's like all these things like that you need to kind of get out there and be public to like meet some of the cool people that we've met.
You're not going to be making 1.3 million in your Underdog sponsorship, I don't think. So nothing.
They're tightening the purse strings up a little bit.
Yeah. I can't help but like listen to you, John, and like so we have like kind of a similar story with this Kalish stuff that we haven't talked about yet. It's like, so like people like, I don't know, like in sports betting especially, people shit on like the pros, and I think that's going to happen a lot more with prediction markets. But maybe it goes the other way. Maybe it'll go like poker. That's the way I want it to go, where the pros are like kind of like, oh, cool, man. Maybe I get to play against the pro one day or something. I find that unlikely, but it's possible. But like, you're just a normal dude. You know what I mean? You got a low handicap. I'll give you that. I wish my handicap was as good as yours. But other than that, like you basically, you started from scratch and built your old models, and you're like trying to figure it out on your own. You're not some backed by some VCs or some bullshit, or sell publicly traded shares.
I don't know. He looks like someone who's accepted some Saudi money to me, Brian.
Okay,
yeah.
Long live, man.
Yeah.
I'm trying to buy into the league now that it's going under. No, you're right. Like we're spun it up. I mean, so yeah. Brad, sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
Well, it's just kind of just the idea of like, what do people want? Like, okay, you tried too hard, normal guy. Fuck you now. Like, what do you want? Like if you're playing like a video game or something, like they want you to not play anymore. You got too good. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what people fucking want from the pros.
This is Rich coming from the guy who's the Madden glitch cheater.
Glitch. Yeah. Oh, that's okay. That is liable. First of all, speaking of getting sued, Pete, not a glitch. Go ahead.
But John, to bring us back, for the people who aren't initiated, can you kind of maybe just give a little overview of like what went down with Matt Kalish? How did he become the center of prediction market conversation over the past couple of weeks?
So I first want to say that I absolutely love Matt Kalish's tweeting. It is the best thing. Yeah, it's so good. You have somebody who is a legitimate founder of a relevant company in the space that's also like, I don't know this for sure, but DraftKings is probably in the S&P 500 or could be knocking on the door. Like, this is a legit company, and he's out here tweeting like he's just on some like absolute bender at another competitor company in the space. And I know he's probably like, I don't know, has he sold all of, he's not on the board maybe at DraftKings, or he's in some new legal standing where he doesn't have to kind of toe the company line. He's coming out firing. I just absolutely love it. But yeah, I think basically what happened was, and it's very funny because it has to do with golf, which is like what we do, but Kalish tried to buy some large amount of Brooks Koepka during the PGA Championship. And I know Baseball's DFS had retweeted his original tweet earlier. I think that's the easiest way to like find it if you want to pull it up. But it was
kind of a while ago at this point.
Yeah. That one. Exactly. Okay. So he's like upset that the more he bets, the worse the price gets. And the reason for that is that, the exchanges run on an order book system. So like the top level, the best price being offered could be, have, let's just call it $500 worth of Brooks Koepka. So if he wanted to bet to win $500, he would only be getting that price. But then like, if he wants to win 10,000, what they do is like, it's like you go down. Yeah, exactly. You go down the order book and until you have encapsulated 10,000 shares. And then what is your average price there? And a lot of times like the top of the order book has, a couple, one or two levels of like legitimate liquidity. Then like nobody's really below for various reasons, like some of them strategic. And then people could be like way down hoping that somebody sends in like a market order like this and you get a bad price. So he starts to get mad about this. And then like, I don't know if somebody from Kalshi like responded right away or not, but he just, I don't know, like this kind of led to him going after other parts of their business, like the RFQ system, the creator IDs and the RFQ system. And he has like this, he's like building kind of this, this like language of like Wall Street market makers or something like that are the people that, are, ripping him off and all of this stuff. And then like, eventually, I don't know if it's like day one, but like Kalshi does kind of, I think, respond with like a meme of like, I think it's the Rachel McAdams, like, why are you so obsessed with us or something? I don't know. Some meme like that. And then he kind of just keeps going. And he's digging up old tweets, digging up old ads. There was the one I talked about. My favorite Kalish tweet was, there's this new like lawyer for Kalshi who's like in the streets now. He's kind of like the grown up trying to like, lock everything in that's been maybe a bit loose. And he was saying like, yeah, we only ran like this ad. That was like before I was here. It was like a independent contracted company or whatever, because Kalish had like asked him to like comment on the ads. And then like he responded to that with like a retweet of a Kalshi ad that's just like not even made by like a YouTube creator or whatever. It's just like Kalshi, like sports betting legal in 50 states. And Kalish goes, comment on this, bitch. And it's just like the funniest shit.
So what for people like, because I think the immediate thing where people gravitate to is like, is this a clear conflict of interest? You have associations with DraftKings. Obviously, you're biased toward their business model versus this upstart that you view as going through a regulatory loophole, whatever. But or could this be just as simple as him enjoying the intention of shit posting, and as you guys said on your podcast, rage baiting? And there's an element of like, the hoop just looks really big right now. Every tweet I fire out, and I just like fucking inject the dopamine into my veins, and I'm just going to keep shit posting. Like, how much does he actually give a shit, do you think?
Dude, Pete, the hoop must look enormous for Kalish right now. Like every tweet he tweets is just blows up. But I think like what SP and I said is like there's no chance. Like I don't think either of us are even like I don't know where we would place the odds, but on Kalish knowing like actually what an order book is. Because if you've seen some of his tweets, like he kind of slips up and like kind of says things where it's clear he knows what he's talking about. And then also if you were to just kind of think about who Matt Kalish is, like I'm sure he's aware of these types of things. So yeah, I mean, I think obviously like Kalish is saying a lot of stuff that is Kalshi is doing that DraftKings has done. Limiting people or whatever. People will be like, well, at least we can bet enough here versus on Kalshi. So like I think like I think he kind of acknowledged this, was like, maybe I'm not like everybody's favorite messenger, but like some of these things I'm bringing up are legitimate, and I would agree with that. Like I would say like, one thing he said, I thought that he's like, if Kalshi can't make me happy or like can't give me a good experience, and by me I think he means like some huge whale who has a ton of money and like wants to splash around, which is like clearly what he's doing with that Koepka bet. Like that's not sharp. So like I think there's a point there. Like a lot of these sites live and die on the back of big recreational whales. So I think that's a good point. And then like he said this great, because everyone was like, do you know how to order book works or all this? And then he was like, do you think like the recreational customers at Kalshi are going to want you to tell them how order book works? Like they're not, and that was like it's a great point. Like, Kalish knows these customers. So, you can kind of be like skeptical of the messenger, like who's saying this, because there's a lot of maybe like what people would call hypocritical, I guess, comments if you look at him as like this guy who built DraftKings. But if you look at him like this guy who kind of actually knows what he's talking about, there's some stuff there underneath like the epic trolls.
I think it's hard to pin it down, because I don't think he can really pin it. What I think happened here is he kind of went off the rails. It's also kind of funny thinking about these, gigantic companies, especially when they disrupt these huge regulated markets like this, like the ability to pull that off. We've said this about Jason Robbins, on this show, is like, it's just amazing. Like how they did that. It's totally crazy. And then to realize that this guy's just another shit talking Twitter bro,
Yeah.
It's like, oh, so they're not all like this Steve Jobs, or so we've been told Steve Jobs was. Who knows how he really was? Sure,
that's a good point.
Yeah, so it's kind of fun to see that play out in real life. But I think he kind of just went off the rails, and he's kind of like developing his opinion as he goes.
Yeah.
Mad rage. That's kind of getting, because like what he said 5 hours ago on his timeline here. Love prediction markets, definitely a huge opportunity. I'm a big critic of Kalshi, specifically phony baloney marketing, PR, lack of trustworthiness. It's like, well, fine, but I don't think that's really what was going on, especially.
Yeah, true. 2 weeks ago. Were you actually a fan?
Could there also just be like, the loophole, not loopholes, the hoops that DraftKings had to jump through to get their business off the ground, obviously with fantasy sports and just the state-by-state legalization efforts, the licensing, like all of the rigmarole that they had to go through. There was so much red tape. It took so long to get to the industry at this point. I can understand being pretty frustrated watching these new companies speed run their way to multi-billion-dollar valuations with essentially a regulatory loophole and just being like, fuck you. I was doing 80-hour weeks trying to get DraftKings to $1 billion company, and you guys just stumbled into it.
That's exactly what happened in my mind.
But didn't they do that with DFS?
What's that?
Didn't they do that with DFS? Like, aren't DraftKings and FanDuel the pioneers of Kalshi and Poly? Yeah.
They did it from a from a marketing standpoint for sure, but the amount of legal stuff they had to
put
do
a lot
to
of
get to
effort
that
in.
point.
I was there, man. I'm telling you, they would go like the Jason Robbins was at the Capitol, like he was going meeting with these people, trying to convince them. And the whole we're not sports betting, we're not gambling, we're DFS, we're a skill game.
Yeah.
That was real. They tried that for years, and then they hired all the best lobbyists here. I'm sure they hired them everywhere else. Probably cost a fortune. So they did, but they did though, like still, like these casinos have been around for hundreds of years, some of them almost, and they came in and just wreck shopped their little mini monopolies they had in each of these states. So they did still do that, but they put a lot of work in. But there's no doubt in my mind that's exactly what happened, Pete. He goes, Kalshi's estimated at $1 trillion, and he's just lost it, and he's just like, fuck these guys.
Yeah.
And now he's kind of like ebbing and flowing because DraftKings is coming out with their
Yeah, he's like, someone told him we have one of those.
we have those coming June 8th, by the way. That's all. And he's like, I love prediction.
I love them.
They're the best things.
I've always liked them.
It's just the marketing that I have a personal issue with.
John, can you explain? Because one of the phrases that came up in all of these arguments is this idea of, what is it, notional volume? Can you explain that to people who don't understand this?
So basically, like, okay, let's say golf's a really good example of this. So let's say somebody bets, somebody like buys a contract of Gary Woodland at 100 to 1, and I'm on the other side. So I have Gary Woodland, no, 99. They have Gary Woodland, yes, 1. So that is going to be reported by the prediction markets as 100 in volume, even though the person who only bet $1. Sportsbooks are going to report it. At least my understanding is the other way, where they're reporting the amount bet, exactly, the $1. So, yeah, I mean, obviously that's a huge difference. It becomes a smaller difference at like when you're betting NFL sides, but like the longer the shot, the more different the volume looks.
And so then one of Kalish would be on this and saying they're using this to inflate their total volume. It looks better for marketing. It looks like a much bigger operation than what's actually happening relative to sports books.
Yeah. I think that that's what he would say. And I think like they probably could use like the taker volume or whatever. But yeah, it's also kind of reported how a lot of other, like if you were to treat this as like a financial market and treat these as contracts, like you would report like total contracts traded or whatnot. It's not like this is like an unheard of way to measure volume, but it is like quite different specifically to sports books. So I don't know exactly why it is chosen. I'm sure for both reasons. Like one, it's more similar to, it differentiates you from a sports book. It ties you to this idea like these are contracts for reporting contracts traded. Two, obviously it looks like you have higher volume. I'm sure it all goes into it.
Because it sounds like, one of his things, and I'm just like scrolling through his timeline, but I've seen this criticism from him a few times. It's a product for professional gamblers and Wall Street bankers who want, to beat the hell out of each other. Plus, if sportsbook is not authorized in your state, yada, yada. But it seems like he's pushing back on this idea that prediction markets are the future of like speculation for the average person who wants to do this stuff. Like where do you stand on it as far as like the overall upside for the market share of prediction markets, or is it just for people like you and Wall Street bankers?
This is another like what I would call like Kalish good point ish. Like there's there's something there. Lish. This is a Kalish good point. And I would say like I don't understand the Wall Street banker thing. Like that part of it I don't get. It's like in the investors, right? You think he's mean SIG?
Yeah, I think so, right? Like the firms that are
the institute, like the true quant
liquidity guys,
major quant
bots.
shops. Yeah.
maybe.
I would say, yeah, that probably, yeah. Okay. Because for Wall Street bankers, I think like both DraftKings and Kalshi are like equally attractive to Wall Street bankers who are trying to IPO the company or whatever, or like roll up, do acquisitions. Like I'm sure both of them work with Wall Street bankers in equal amount. But the professional gamblers, prediction markets are definitely better for, because you can participate in the offering of liquidity. So you can never go on DraftKings and offer a better price than what DraftKings is offering. Here you can do that. So once you get limited on DraftKings, there wasn't really another kind of route for you there. Here, you know, the eventual evolution of, you know, scaling and professional gambling here starts to look like, okay, I'm more becoming the house. I'm offering a lot of stuff. I'm providing liquidity and, you know, trying to do that at scale. But I think like for the average person, so what I agree with what Kalish is saying is like, I think the wrong ad, and SP has been a big, you know, banging this drum for a while, is like anybody can do this and make money. There was like that tweet, like, you know, prediction market trader is going to be the new Uber driver. Like, no, that was like an all-time top 5 stupid tweet. Like it's just unbelievable. But it's like that needs to stop. Like that really, like, it's not like everybody can do this and make money. Everybody can do this and make money, but few do, and you have to work really, really hard, and it's a less than zero-sum game. So like how you want to advertise that is kind of, it's tricky. But I think to what Brian was saying of like how I view this, it's kind of funny that Kalish is saying this, because it's like, I'm not what those things that Kalish says. Like I'm somebody who, our company is entirely funded by gambling our own money and turning that over into more money gambling. We started with a small amount of money, kind of normal people. We're still, you know, not these things that Kalish is saying. And like, I think that route for that to be available, kind of like it was in poker, where like you can kind of grind up the stakes and be, you know, just all of a sudden you're sitting with Phil Ivey. Like there's something like cool about that. It always got me interested about poker, because I was always like, oh, you know, Phil Ivey's sitting against Patrick Antonius on full tilt. Like I got to watch that or whatever. Like, wow, maybe one day I would like play with them or something. Like that concept of being like, these are people who worked really, really hard, played a ton of hands and got really good at poker. Like there's something there. I understand it's different. It's not like, I'm not asking to be treated like Phil Ivey, but like the concept that there is something cool about people who've grinded it up, I think adds something to the ecosystem. So I don't know. It's a tricky thing, because do you put, you know, the people who make $1 million on the commercials? I mean, I know that was like somewhat what DraftKings did at the beginning, like wanting the millionaire makers or whatnot.
Yeah.
Do you know, I don't know. Like, I mean, it's hard. Like, what do you advertise? Like prediction markets, it's a zero-sum game. You'll probably lose, but if you work really, really hard and do a lot of work, then maybe you could win.
Yeah. I think the culture shifted a lot since the mid-aughts as well. I've always wished DFS would have done that, though. I wish they would have. We wanted them to do like a invitational, you know, where they invite all the popular pros and stuff to do drafts, and you know, make it more of that, like when the ground you sat down at Poker Stars, like the waiting list got to 200 people instantly before people could like get on there. You know, I think I don't know if poker, I think if you pulled people like right before they bet, they're betting $50 in the Bears, you know, side or something, and you go, you could bet this with a sportsbook or you could bet this with the pro. Which one would you choose? I don't know. I don't even know if they would care, but if you didn't give them an option to care, they'd probably pick the sports betting pro, I guess. I'm not sure how much that matters with sports betting. I think they could do like, for this stuff is so goddamn complicated, because there's also like the political ramifications. And we're talking like, what should they morally do and all these things. When politics, you got to throw all that shit out the window. Like, they're going to do whatever is best for them achieving either goals. And that's what they should do as a company. And so like, but what I think there's, you could like gate if they get enough liquidity, you could start gating certain people from quoting and stuff like that. Like you do in DFS, where they don't allow you certain DFS players to play in certain levels and stuff. There's like a bunch of different things they could do, but I always thought on this show I've always said where because prediction markets are betting exchanges. I know you know this, John, but like a lot of people don't know that there was betting exchanges overseas forever. And this is just that, except they also offer like how many cases of measles will there be this year, and like weird shit like that. But like, it's basically just a betting exchange. And, common criticism from betting exchanges where it always ended up with just like super sharp people being on the opposite side. And this is where DFS head-to-head lobby ended up, and poker head-to-head lobby kind of ended up where like the end bosses dominated the lobbies, and you can't really get a good game if you're a recreational player anyways. And that's kind of how I always saw betting markets getting legalized in the US going eventually. I definitely don't think we're there yet. And as I dive into the numbers and stuff, I think there's still a lot of money to be made in prediction markets, but there's some creative things that they really wanted to adjust that. But like, I know I'm rambling here, but like with Kalish, it's like, I think this is fun and hilarious. I don't think these people really give a shit about the average bettor. Not just him, just like anybody. Like, I don't think their goal is to protect the average bettor. I don't think anyone's out there really in charge who's going to protect the average bettor. So like, I sent Pete this old DraftKings ad that is just as damning, as anything.
Wait, which one is it?
That one.
This one. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember this ad.
It's on mute. Yeah, you remember it after you.
I remember this ad.
Hear it,
I thought I could be that guy.
Here, you want me to play it for the people? I have to.
Now, you got to redo the sound stuff.
Yeah, there you go. Can you hear it now?
The Fantasy Sports Hall of Fame presents former accountant Derek Bradley. DraftKings one-day fantasy.
That's Pete.
Him from a guy with holes in his underpants, a guy with bikini models in them. How do they do it? DraftKings.com. They have one-day games, so you're not locked in. It's like a new season every time you play. And best of all, you could win a shipload of money. Use promo the Fantasy Sports Hall of Fame.
I mean, I want to say there were even worse ones than
that's
this.
worse.
Yeah.
I was going to say also,
yeah,
that's worse than the Kalshi ads. Actually, I mean, definitely. Imagine if Kalshi ran that ad today. Kalish would lose his mind. Kalish would be up for 72 hours tweeting about it.
Yeah,
and he was around.
Yeah. So, but like interesting right now. I mean, again, I haven't signed up for it, but like, how would you compare the friction to getting set up on Kalshi and hopping in and understanding how to make take a bet versus like getting on DraftKings for the first time?
It's way more complicated.
Yeah.
But so who gives a shit? Like, I don't know. Chess is complicated. So play checkers. No. Play checkers.
Yeah, no. I think it's more just saying like, okay, we know the casual person isn't going to line shop, right? So then they're just going to pick the easiest thing. And I think it was Nigel Eccles on the ETR pod when they were talking about prediction markets recently, which by the way, if you guys like this, check out Risk Takers pod, check out that pod. Sports Projections was on it with those guys as well. And I think it was Nigel was saying too, like at the end of the day, the fees or like having less fees is less compelling to a normie sports bettor than the promos. Like just they're like, hey, you give me a promo on this parlay, that's more compelling than even if you were to give me less fees that results in like a bigger edge. Like that's just how the normie brain works.
Probably true.
And I think that's definitely true. Like and that's it. That's an issue. Like what are you're going to have? I know there's been like VIP programs, I guess, like being either started or floated at the exchanges, but like can you really give these promos like risk-free trade? Like, so the exchange is going to like take your side of it or pay out the other side if your side loses, or I don't know. Like it is kind of interesting. And the recreational customer is important.
I just get triggered. I'm glad we don't do this show weekly now, because my triggering is the same every fucking show. But it's like because we don't view this. We view this from like the 1980s and 90s movies, gambling bad, instead of just gambling's an entertainment product. And so like you might not like the entertainment product of gambling, which is a total valid criticism. But like we don't do this with any other entertainment product. We don't go like, oh man, that guy could have bought a cheaper movie from the other movie store, and he just didn't. I mean, how do we protect him? How do we protect? And also, this guy went to a movie he wouldn't have liked. I could have told him he wouldn't have liked that movie, and he didn't even ask for a refund, right? And like, how do we protect these poor entertainment moviegoers? And it's just because gambling bad, addiction rate, and also here's another. Speaking publicly and making a public persona, this is like defending this other side because there's gambling addiction. You just look like an asshole, I've learned. So you might as well just go, yeah, gambling bad. Okay, let's end the show, because it's just easier for people to deal with that perspective. But if it's just an entertainment problem, like an entertainment product, like all this stuff goes out the window. It's only just because a small percentage of people have addiction problems, broadly speaking, that it's even like a relevant issue. And the reason that's so personified is because it's been pushed through legislation. It was illegal for so long, through movies and politicians, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And maybe they were right. Maybe gambling is bad and we should all stop. I'm not even fucking saying that. I'm just saying it's an entertainment product, but then look through this lens of gambling bad. Gambling should be a tax on stupid people. All the certain things they would tell me at the Capitol, So like, I don't know. We go on our podcasts and we talk, in this like good faith manner of like, how do we solve this problem? And which is all valid. I'm not saying it's not valid, but like at the end of the day, like they're going to do it however the fuck they want to do it at these local capitals or at the federal level, however it plays off. We should talk about Trump's latest tweet too, by the way. But like, do you have any thoughts on anything I just said? Because I know it's my personal high horse.
No, so SP and I very bravely say that we're professional bettors who think betting's okay. We're very brave about that. I know. And it's a hot take. And I think like one thing that kind of tilts both of us is like the self-flagellating, like pro better, like, it's a strain on society. Like, this is so bad. Why are you doing it? Why, it's like, betting is okay. Obviously there's ways to bet very irresponsibly. I think like, yeah, I mean, I don't know the exact comps, but like you could comp it to like buying luxury, like fashion items. Like it feels like that's completely useless, but can absolutely financially drain a ton of people. And like the way that those brands advertise are like, this will get you laid or whatever, which was like that DraftKings ad but it's like same thing, but betting's just cooler than that. So like it's better.
I think it's like going to a movie theater and 48% of the people get double their money back after the movie. That's what gambling is. You get to watch the movie and you might get double your money back.
What exactly? Sorry, Pete.
How much do you go ahead, Brian.
I was just gonna really quickly. Are you brave enough though? Are you? I don't think you are. Are you brave enough?
Probably
to
not.
say that gambling addiction's bad?
I thought a lot about this and we ran the numbers. It actually turns out to be bad.
Okay. Yeah. He is brave enough.
You are brave. I was going to say like, one of the things Brian and I have talked about with some of these more brazen marketing strategies for the prediction markets and, trying to get into the college sports markets is that they've like put a target on their back of like,
Yeah.
hey, like, you know, don't draw attention that doesn't need to be there. You already have this cash cow set up with you, you know, now generating so much of your livelihood from this. How concerned are you about them flying too close to the sun or ruining a good thing?
Certainly, like it's one of those things. We talked about with like the Survivor market. I don't know if you guys were following that, but basically, like it was clear who won Survivor on Call Sheet, like however many days before it aired. Same thing with Traders and a bunch of these like shows that are predetermined or not predetermined, but pre-recorded or whatnot. And like the Survivor thing went public, or we always say like breaks contain like our little bubble, where like the host of Survivor is talking about how it's bad that, you know, this was going on and it was obvious to people on Call Sheet, like who won, and it's spoiling the show. And it's like, I really don't like when that happens because it does make my future earnings, I feel like, go down slightly. Like there's some uncertainty. So it's almost like when they do these markets, and it's funny because they're always like, they don't want to be associated with sports, but sports are actually just like the cleanest markets for them to do that don't have these issues. But like the invasion markets, right, or like capturing, you know, the leader of Iran. And it's like you have a soldier who bets on it and then goes and captures the guy. And it's like, that's not good. Like, you know, but it's like, we could just stop offering these markets. And I feel like they're just so dead set about like this identity of like not being sports and having all this like useful, like quote unquote useful information. And like, I don't know, they have like this like their identity, I think, wrapped up in some of these, you know, more controversial markets. And it's hard for them to maybe like pull away from it a bit, but you really do want to be cognizant of like what looks bad in the press, because it like, you're not necessarily like, you can lose in the court of public opinion here too. Like it's not just, you know, you could be winning in the courts now, but like there's some non-zero effect of the court of public opinion that will bleed into your court cases and in the state governments and whatever. Like this will all, you know, it's all connected. So I do think like you have to be very careful what markets you're offering. That's the one thing you can control, and think about like, is there any way this market turns into like somebody being arrested and like me on the cover of the New York Times, you know, or whatever. Like, then don't do it if you think that could happen.
Yeah. And also it's like, if you're not offering, you know, something on, you know, the assassination of a world leader, is your $15 billion company valuation to go down because now you're offering less of a market? Like, is there any actual downside to them being a little bit more conservative with their offerings?
Yeah. It's a little chicken or egg for me, because like, do you get that $15 billion valuation unless you offered the assassination market? Because like I just mentioned, there's betting markets before. They've had these companies, and they didn't get to this level. They've done it is. I totally agree. I think it's almost common sense what John's saying. Like, why? My big one was the measles one. It's like, that is just, come on, you can't have like some idiot out there spreading an infectious disease so he wins his fucking Gauchi bet. Like, who is betting on that? Like, I don't know. Like, so like, I totally agree. There's some that just seem so common sense obvious, but also these guys know a lot more what they're doing clearly than we all do, right? I mean, for taking a startup into a, you know, $1 billion prediction market company. So they know what they're doing. I do wish they would, and I think they have pivoted a bit. They're still playing both sides a little bit, but I think you could see some of the tweets, especially Polymarket. I don't know if you guys saw that one, like they did today or yesterday, where it's like, we caught an insider trader, and like, you know,
Google guy.
Yeah, we're always on it. I mean, and also too, like they should do something we've talked about on DFS poker too. The best people to track down these cheaters is the gamblers. Like, you should ask the gamblers, like, do you see anything suspicious? You know, here's our email, whatever, for you guys specifically to flag certain insider traders. You know, they're way more motivated, you know, obviously incentivized because the cash they could lose. It would look a lot better publicly, I think. So like, there's so much stuff they can do, but like, just like I said, like, they also do know a lot like of what they're doing marketing wise. And there's two different worlds, man. There's the politics world and then this world we're all inhabiting. And so like the politicians, they don't know anything about this shit. They never will. You'll never explain it to them. Your reasoning, your logic, you're like all these ideas, they're not gonna they don't care. Like if it's like more than 2 sentences, they're not gonna read it. Some of them can't even read. Like that, it's just a matter of like whether it's politically convenient or it expands their power and reach and or money they can get. And there's usually only a few politicians that actually matter in your state. So like gambling addiction and like these protecting bettors and insider trading and stuff. On podcasts, we talk about it from a good faith perspective. For them, it's just whether it's useful information, whether they can use it or not. Is this going to help my career or not? They're not going like, oh, we really need to stop the insider trading for all those survivor, wine moms who like bet on Kalish, betting on the survivor outcome.
Do you know what's so funny about this is with the survivor thing specifically? So one of the first gambling things I ever did was in high school on Survivor, and my friends and I would all put $20 in a pot, and we would just randomly draw out 2 of the contestants, 16 people. If your name wins, you get the pot. But then some of our friends started going sleuthing on the message boards because we also opened up the idea of trading your tickets. Like, hey, I'd rather root for this one would do. And we were finding spoilers for Survivor on internet message boards. And I'm talking 2003, 2004, like Richard, Hatch era Survivor. I'm like, this stuff goes as old as time. I'm sorry, Jeff Probst. Like this stuff was getting spoiled 2 decades ago.
That's amazing.
Yeah. That was funny.
Yeah.
I guess it's a good betting market. People want to bet it. They need to tighten it up. That's clearly
John, what's your take? Should people be allowed to bet on the WWE?
Should they be allowed to? I mean, I think, you should be allowed to do whatever you want, but should Paulie or Kalish offer it?
Yeah.
I guess you shouldn't. You shouldn't be allowed to do every single thing you want, but most things. Should they offer it? I'd probably skip it. Yeah.
So it should be allowed, but if you were owner of a company, you wouldn't do it.
If I were owner of one of those companies, if I was more of like a upstart trying to steal some market share, I might offer it. But if I were those two specifically, I would not.
I think I 100% agree with both of those strategies. Yeah. By the way, we're going to have a whole bunch of upstarts coming here very soon.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know if you guys are seeing all these filings. DraftKings coming. Underdog, right? Is Underdog coming?
Breaking
I have
news.
no inside information.
No inside information. That's a lie.
And if I did, I would.
You would trade on it like a trade,
like a gentleman.
That's right. Talk about this Trump tweet, Brian. You sent this to me here before the show.
I mean, did you guys have this before your last show? Because
no, it came. I literally we stopped recording. I looked. I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Okay, I didn't finish your show. The full show yet.
It's not.
This is we're gonna steal your thunder because I'm assuming you're gonna talk about this. So for me, Trump. And did we verify this? This is real, right?
This is, as far as I know, this is very real. Yeah.
So Trump comes out and says that prediction markets should be the exclusive authority over them should be the CFTC, which for prediction markets is huge. This is like exactly what they wanted. Kind of insane that a president would even comment on that. If you're like the head of a company like this, and that would happen, champagne popping moment for you as a head. So like in my head, I read this and like my immediate thought is like you got 2 more years for sure of the status quo, and that is long enough for DraftKings, FanDuel, upstarts, other upstarts I'm sure are coming, Underdog maybe. Who I want, I think Underdogs are good. They don't sponsor this show, John, but I do think they run a pretty tight ship over there. And after 2, and then with everybody in, and after 2 years, I think like this for me, like I was probably at like 60 cents or 65 cents, like to like 85 cents, that you're going to see pretty much the status quo going forward. I still think my overall prediction that it's going to be state basis. Like some states are going to get rid of it. Some states will keep it. I think that is what happens, but then the bodies overseeing it, I think it's much more likely that it's going to stick with the CFTC going after this tweet. John, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I think, we've always kind of said like we have at least 2 more years, like to the Trump presidency. It seems clear, like even he had like that one like anti-prediction market tweet. He's like, I don't get what they are, like they're gambling or whatever. But the reality is like his son is on the board of Pauly and Kalshi, and like I don't know, that feels like it kind of takes precedent over like whatever he's. I mean, Trump and Kalish have very similar Twitter personalities. Like whatever they're firing out that day, it doesn't have to be. It's never going to be exactly what he thinks, But I think your read on like posts is about where I'd put it. It's one of those situations where we have 2 more years. It's hard to put ourselves 2 years into the future where like how mainstream are these or like how accepted are these, but it's kind of one of the toothpaste is out of the tube type situations. Like eventually, like if we're 2 more years into this, these are even more established, like, and like these companies have, created a real like presence in the US as far as like being employers, and like, these markets have been accepted into, there are some markets in prediction markets that will be useful for other things. Like, if you're basically taking like inflation as a number and betting on it instead of like creating some kind of trade using different things that creates like a synthetic inflation trade or whatever. So there's certain things in there that will probably be useful too. And at that point you're like, okay, we're all going to somebody's going to step up and like tear this down. It's going to just take so much work at that point. And it just doesn't feel like one of those causes that like is really anyone's going to really champion besides the casinos. And there's not like a lot of, I feel like, goodwill, or like, it's like the world's smallest violin is playing for the casinos right now. Like, so
it does
I don't
feel
know.
like it feels a little similar to crypto in that regard, right? Where people are like, this is going to go away or whatever. And then there ends up just being this Lindy effect with it. Like the longer it hangs around, like the more entrenched it feels like it's going to be. I guess though, that 2-year gap in the whatever an administration change could be the one huge thing. Like if it doesn't happen there, then when is it ever happening?
Like, you mean like the prediction markets getting sports contracts taken away or whatever?
Yeah, just if there was a big shakeup to the business model that really crippled it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like you assume, like if you assume that, like let's say you assume that the Democrats hold, I don't know anything about politics, so I don't know if this is a likely scenario or not. So don't flame me for being like, that's like 1% to happen. I don't know this, but let's just say the Democrats hold all 3 of the major branches. I actually don't know who's on the Supreme Court or who controls it. So that is, I don't know, but like, let's say that happens. Even then, because Kalshi's done a very smart thing where I think they were obviously very more aligned with the Trump administration and the Republicans in general. They've kind of not flipped it, but they've started going across the aisle. So you have them taking 2 years to basically like suck up to the Democrats who might be in charge. And then you also have to have like the Democrats care enough about this to make it a really big part of their plan when they probably weren't running on this. They're probably running on something more along the lines of like, the environment or something like that. Like they're not going to sit down and be like, hey, we just took power. Now what we're going to do, we're going to get rid of sports contracts on Pauly market. Everyone will be like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't even know what that is, So I don't know. I'm more optimistic about it. I think I'm obviously like anxious like that it will go away and, trying to grind out every day. Like we only have the 2 years, but I think if realistically, like we probably have a decent amount longer.
Do you?
I wouldn't underestimate the power of sports books, especially locally, but even federally. Like even the UIEGA, they were heavily involved in a lot of those at federal level. But I think they can get you at the local level. So like even if the CFTC holds the authority, they could still get their local states to outlaw it somehow, and then fight.
I think that's the big question, right? Like, that's the question I think that's going to go to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Okay, yeah, we need a real actual lawyer here, but I'm not sure.
This is all speculation.
I'm not sure how much different it would be than like the lottery system, where some states like Utah don't allow the lottery nationwide, and I doubt the lottery could sue them and get, they're not CFTC regulated, so maybe that's the violent. I'd be interested to see, but let's just say for the sake of argument, it isn't. Then the sports books play a lot of the role of, like, depending on the state you live in, you might just not have it allowed. So they can definitely get involved if they want. But I kind of agree with your general take though, of even if they do get a sweep, I'm like, I don't think that's like 100%. Their prediction markets are done anyways. Yeah, but I don't think issues are like a lot of them are super partisan driven like that anyways, though. I think it's just like if enough of the donors from the certain people in power don't want it, then it's way more likely that something bad will happen to it, more so than just the zeitgeist of like what is AOC currently talking about on Twitter, or something.
Right.
So right. It'll be interesting.
Well, they're getting big. They're getting money. Like, these companies are not small. Like, by the time this comes to a head, like, it's, since DraftKings and FanDuel left the AGA, like, I think the money is on the side of prediction markets. Like, I actually, obviously the entrenched, all of the already work that's been done with meeting with government people and getting those relationships is on the side of the casinos for sure. Mm-hmm. But like, it'll be a fight. Like, they have a ton of money, and there's like legit companies invested in these. I don't know. It'll be interesting. Yeah.
The lobbyists can easily switch. They aren't bound to one company too. So like, they can take that good money, that good.
They're not doing this just for the honor of the game.
No,
they believe in.
They just really like Matt Kalish,
Do you, John, have, to, I guess, make it maybe a little actionable for people who haven't dove in? Obviously, I think people who watch this show, they're from the world of DFS and sports betting. They're okay, diving into something with some unknowns. Do you have any tips for things that they should look out for, good places to start? Where do you dive in if you haven't ventured into this world?
Yeah, I would probably start on Kalshi, and let's say like you're not going to be interacting with the API at first. I think that's totally fine. I would get in there and just try and, one thing I would try and avoid is, taking a lot of liquidity. The fees are quite high. And also you don't really learn about how the order book works when you're taking. So it's kind of like a two birds with one stone. Like, go find something that you think might be a good number.
Yeah.
And then, I literally think this is what SP said on our last podcast, like, find something you think is good and like just post the top of the book passively and learn how to do that. Like, it's confusing at first. The yes, the no, you might post the wrong side and everything. So just start out clicking around, and then you can figure out, like, if you find something that you think is pretty good, then you could consider using the API to automate it. But what I would do with the API first is kind of like what Brian mentioned, was like, bet tracking, accounting, all of this, like just gathering your trade information or gathering trade information and kind of looking through it. So I would start by placing passive orders manually, and then start using the API as like a research, like data gathering exercise, and then build from there.
Yeah, like that's the thing with Kalish too. We're talking about this earlier. I kind of want to go on this a little bit more too, which is like of the pro better or like the skilled better. It's like first of all, like what should this interaction between the better and the betty look like? Like, what is the moral outcome all these people really want to occur here? But like, just like the prediction markets are way more interesting and fun if you dive in just a little bit and have like some sort of strategic mindset, right? Like you like beating games, or
for sure,
you used to play poker or whatever, Magic the Gathering, I don't even care, video games, like you're going to have way more fun trying to beat this than you will beating a sports book. And like just like what John was saying, so like right off the bat, oh, by the way, this not financial advice on this podcast ever.
Oh, yes.
Please don't sue us, don't dupe us. Like let's say you subscribe to someone who makes numbers, like ETR or whatever, or RTS. Like you could take their numbers, get the fair line and cents from there, and then somewhere you're comfortable, putting a hold on your own number, so like a couple cents more than that, whatever you want, and then you post instead of take, Pete. So like takers on Kalshi pay a fee, and in some markets, makers don't pay any fee. So like look at what markets they say it on the site, or you could even, if you have an AI now, you can plug the API in, and the APIs aren't perfect. Sometimes you got to like really ask it to keep looking and nudge it to find the answers you're looking for. But some markets have no fees at all if you're the maker. MLB props is one of those. So that might be something where now, like right off the bat, they're like, what is that, 2.5 cents or something, John? What is the maker fee?
Well, yeah, the maker fees is not super high, but it's.
I'm sorry, the taker fee.
The taker fee is quite high. If you were to take like a 50-50, it's something like 2 cents. Yeah, it's like a curve. So
so like the difference between that and a maker and a no fee maker MLB market is going to be, you're going to like right off the bat,
like 2 levels already.
Yeah. So like if you do the sports book conversion on that, like, you're getting a free bonus bet just for having someone take your bet. And then also when you're the maker, you're engaging with takers, and takers are going to be on average more recreational. Not always. They might, and so like you want to have like some risk aversion too. Like, so like, don't leave your bet up that long, especially if the lineups aren't out in MLB or something like that. Depends on the sport you're dealing with, or whatever market you're dealing with. Maybe like, your mom's really into Survivor, and you got some good intel from your mom on the Survivor. You could put, contestant X up at a price you're comfortable with, but make it. And I imagine I would have guessed Survivor's probably make fee free as well.
Probably, yeah.
Probably. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but you want to look for these markets, and like just like right there off the bat, even with just that, like it's so much better than fucking sports books. Like you could possibly get down rake free. You could possibly like not pick. Well, I guess with the RFQ process, you could kind of pick and choose a little bit more who you're going to gamble against, which is kind of another controversial topic, Pete. I don't know how much longer we're going to go on here. But anyways, there's just so much more strategy you can get involved in. So like, let's say John posted this number. Well, maybe I post a little better than John, because like I know it's worse for me, but I'm not paying fees, right? And then there's a cat and mouse game to who's going to go to the lower number, which is better for the taker as well, generally speaking. But like, and these are all sorts of little order book opportunities that you're not going to get on the sports book, and like games you could play and things you could learn and develop systems to try to beat. And you want to do it now, honestly, because like it's only going to get harder. Smarter people are going to get involved, but there's going to be hopefully it'll be like a whole bunch of marketing money getting dumped in the next 2 years into this prediction market race to the top or bottom, depending on your perspective. So like it's so much cooler. And the RFQ thing, really quick, Pete, is it's a request for quote where, so like let's say you want like the Yankees and Judge home run over parlay. They call them combos. So you click both of those, it gets sent to, and John, you know way more about this than me, so please, everything I'm saying, correct me. Get sent to the API, and then there's a whole bunch of people who are then quoting back to that request of those two lines, or let's say two markets, because there's no line. He just goes, I want the over on Aaron Judge's home runs, and I want the yes on Aaron Judge hitting a home run, and I want the yes on the Yankees winning. And then it goes to the algorithm. It depends on how you're doing this, but then you could send a quote back of your yes and no. You're required to put yes and no. These are details people probably don't really need to know, but and then the user gets, I'm not sure what happens on their end, since I've never taken like that, but I don't know if they see all of them and they pick one, or they just get the best one.
They just see the best one.
They just see, and so they get the best possible from all the people providing liquidity. And you take
and then you can decide if you want to bet it.
And then you can actually turn it down too.
Yeah.
So it's like their way of trying to offer parlays, kind of,
exactly.
in a way.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's not parlays.
Oh, Kalish.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
This is a skill game, Pete.
Right.
It's not gambling.
I know.
It's a skill game.
That's right.
Mention markets are the new skill game. Okay. So
I'm intrigued to hear.
What
you need to do a podcast with your mention market stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but after I was looking at my number today, I'm like 70,000 or something. Give me. I need another couple. I need another bit. I got. You know what my first idea was this tracking insider trading stuff.
Yeah.
I took a crack at that.
Yeah.
I failed miserably.
Yeah, I was gonna say that feels hard. Like it's harder than you think it would be.
It's the easiest idea to explain and the hardest idea to implement, which is the worst combination, because
then everybody wants to do it.
So I can explain this to a 6-year-old, so I can definitely beat it, right? Yeah, and then I tried like getting the API data from Polymarket and cross reference it with Kalish. Obviously, I can't bet on Polymarket yet.
LOLz.
Can we bet on it now? I don't think so.
It's I think it's open now. No, they were in beta. You can join. Like,
I was on the wait list. I never got an invite.
That's weird. Maybe I
wonder
think
if it's some in Illinois.
Up. Maybe is that a thing? I don't even.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see.
It's a thing. So I should look into it. Although it's just a pain in the ass getting everything plugged in on that site.
That's the key. Yeah. Starting up another API integration.
It's a big pain in the butt. What was I just talking about? Oh, but anyways,
your mention market. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. So the insider trading thing, which I'm still tracking, by the way, I should probably kill that data. It's probably a waste. Maybe I'll look one more time. And then the mention markets, I've tried like, I mean, the model says I have a pretty big edge, but I don't trust it. And then every feature iteration I do, John had a good like programming idea on the show, and tell me if I'm getting this wrong, but you like to do your feature testing one at a time.
Yes.
And definitely. I do the exact opposite. I do like 1,000.
So you're like, it's better, but I don't know why.
I don't know why. And I know the more you add to your regression, like the better it'll show, but it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
And I know this like logically, and I still do this. So like I need to go back and test individually, I think. And then like every feature I add. So like for example, this is one I was working on yesterday, is like Bernie had back-to-back rallies.
Mm-hmm.
And he has his mentions. We getting too deep into the weeds here, Pete. So like mention markets are like there'll be an event or a TV show or something like that, and there'll be, or like an NBA game, and then they'll have words that can be mentioned. So foul, grand slam in baseball, stuff like that. And then there's a open market on it that people can bid, that ebbs and flows throughout the day on whether those words will be spoken. And so like I was watching the Bernie one, I was watching the market, not his actual speech, but and
that's on the
sweat
delay or
DFS
something?
lineups.
Yeah.
I don't even watch the games; I just sweat my lineups. And then so when he says the word, what happens in event 2? So event 1's today and it's live. Event 2 is tomorrow. So what is the effect on event 1 to event 2? And it was obviously huge. It was the yes goes from, so he says it, that means yes is the correct answer. So what does the same word in the next event, the difference, the delta difference between, and then also there's a lot of time stuff here too. Like when are you tracking your database? When are you taking these snapshots? This is stuff that sports bettors know all too well with closing line value. You can't compare a line to a game that's already gone off, right? Because the score is going to be different. It's going to adjust the live line. And so like that is a pain in the butt for trying to add these features to your mention model. But like, I know it matters. Like it has to fucking matter. Like there's no way the speech the next day, him saying the speech the day before, they're very likely to occur again. The speech, they're not going to rewrite the speech. And then the market reacted exactly as I thought, right? And went from 13 cents to 48 cents or something.
Wow, that's big.
It was huge. And so I'm like, oh, this is gold, John.
You're in it, man.
Me and Kalish are going to be on the golf course next year. We're tired.
No shoes between you.
No shoes. That's how my brother golfs, by the way.
Yeah.
And I just cannot like get it to improve on the current model. And I tried
even with that info.
Days. What's that?
So giving it the speech before, it didn't improve the.
Yeah. So like, yeah.
I mean, if that's true, then that's a huge edge on fading the move.
Well, yeah. But unless it's priced properly, if like,
right.
Because by the time you get to, because it's not every mention markets are still really new and there's not a ton of them. So it's not like you have a Bernie speech and then the next day another Bernie speech. It's usually like 6 months later or something.
Yeah.
So like, when does that get posted? And,
it would definitely like how soon after the speeches is definitely matters.
Yeah. Yeah. So like my hope was like, I could get it live. I could through the API, and then when it gets 99 or 1. So like here's another thing too, Pete, is like there's a lot of like what are they called, like skimmer, like event skimmers. So like there's a lot of guys who will post before the market's officially closed, but everyone knows the outcome because the event's not over. So Kelsey hasn't paid out. So you'll see something that's 100%, but it's going for 99 cents or vice versa. And that's because guys will provide liquidity just to get that 1 cent. If that makes sense, Pete. So like,
yeah.
Anyways, and so the idea was when the market hits 99 or 1, just count that as a yes or no. So don't wait till the end of the official Kelsey so you can get the alpha as quick as possible, which may be a little bit dangerous, but whatever, who cares? And then from there, how did that affect the price of event 2 at the same snapshot of time? So like, let's say 13 cents
No, I think that's the way to do it. I think that's smart. The 99
Something
because
like
you want to catch the like if you go to the settle, the move will have happened.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah.
then it's useless.
And you could probably filter it out. You could probably go like if the market is like 90 cents or something before the event starts, like just filter that out. It might get too close to 99 or something. If it's under 5. Like if you really want quick live snapshots as opposed to when Kalish actually considers the market completed.
Close, yeah.
Yeah, you could just say like, forget these outliers, just give me these. But then here's, I think the main problem was there's the data's I don't have enough data.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's just one type of thing.
Yeah.
Of like messing around.
Are you sweating? Are you sweating these mentioned markets live?
I do. I don't watch the shows though, but I tell my mom, like I bet on Survivor. I'm like, Mom, make sure he doesn't say fire today.
And she's like, I'm so proud of you, Brian.
She loves this shit, man. She loves this shit.
Oh my goodness.
Well, Foster? I remember Foster. He came on our podcast and he said like he would watch like the White House briefings and the chat before would be like all mention trader. And these are not on call sheet. These are like government, like whatever, like webinars. And people are like, Trump's going to say MOG, like, fuck you. Like, he's going to say all this shit. And it's just like, yeah, that's probably, maybe those chats should be not publicly available.
Maybe so. Pete, you gotta go, buddy.
Yeah, I gotta run in a second. But John, it was awesome having you on. Obviously, anyone listening to this needs to make sure they have Risk Takers podcasts in the rotation with you and SP. Definitely turned into a must listen every week as you guys kind of cover all of these topics in depth. Anything else you would like people to check out?
Yeah, no, just check out the pod. And we may, if you're good with computers, we may be hiring soon. So look out for a tweet.
There you go. Yeah, you mentioned trying to add to the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And thanks for having me on. Oh, what?
Hiring in the age of AI.
We're hand in the dirt guys. We like to do it. Some of it we like to prompt the AIs ourselves. But yeah, look out for that. And thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming on.
I really enjoyed the
what
content.
John meant is he's so rich now he can hire someone to just turn on his computer for him. And that's actually
it's become a pain in the ass.
Serve him a nice tea.
Yeah. You good with computers? Well, there's one button for you, brother.
And then ask the AI to do this, please.
That's right. Brick, anything going on in the world of Run the Sims that you want people to know about?
The MLB Sims are getting launched tomorrow, actually. So we have a whole MLB sim product going live tomorrow. Fingers crossed. It's going to be in beta, so it'll probably break. But I think I can handle it. So we'll see.
You need to take a page out of the Kalish School of Marketing and say you're going to win millions of dollars the first time using the sim. Like sell it a little bit here, Brian.
Yeah, don't be a coward. Like, come on.
What did the DraftKings ad say at the end there that we watched?
It was something about like talking about how they'll have like swimsuit models in their underwear and stuff like. You got to really like. That's the thing. You think Kalish cares what we think about their ads? No, and that's why they're worth $20 billion. So you got to go out there and just shamelessly plug this thing.
Right.
I guarantee you will win.
Everyone
will win.
Shipload of money.
Shipload of money. Thank you, Zach.
There it is. Well, thank you again to John. Shout out to those of you guys who were nudging us to get a LOLz episode. If there are ever any good topics, any good guests you guys would like to see on, definitely drop it in the Discord or in the comments. And Brian and I will reconvene next time there's a fun topic to discuss. Thanks again to John. For Brick, go check out the Risk Takers podcast. Go check out Run the Sims. I'm Pete. This is LOLz. Peace.